The Pod Barber. Coming up on today's show.
I don't think our relationship we've had is just like a twin thing. Like, I can see us happening like married couples. So we've known each other for 29 years. Imagine you've been married for 29 years. You know everything about that person. And you've got to understand ways to improve that relationship because when you get older, this is why divorce rates are so high right now, because people are done with their relationship. Bill Gates broke up with his wife. He thought it was a perfect relationship. The one thing they said to each other why they broke up was because they stopped learning from one another. If we stopped learning from one another, we'd be like, right, I'm a bit bored of you now.
You can't teach to offer me, Henry.
You can't teach me. But we're now doing things to improve our relationship. So we see a therapist. We do things in our own space. We do things together, and that improves your relationship together. And I think that's what other couples or people in relationships can do as well. Like, if you think you're done with the relationship, you're not.
You're listening to The Pod Barber. I'm championing the chat, proving conversation is the cure to better mental health and well-being. Meet my guests from all walks of life, showing vulnerability and sharing wisdom. Sit in on my chats and be part of reality entertainment. Join the Pod Barber tribe. Subscribe, share and like people. Feel the sonic positivity we're pumping right at you. You, my friends, are not alone. Who's next, please? Well, I'll tell you who. Today is a very special day as I get to introduce two guests to the Wellbeing Project. For the first time, nestled inside the warm walls of the Pod Barber HQ, I have the pleasure to welcome London-based fashion duo, fellow identical twins William and Henry Wade. These two energy charms spend an enormous amount of time creating engaging, impressive content, which can clearly be seen following them on Instagram and TikTok. Their vision and focus on keeping it classy and sophisticated has led to them collaborating with many distinguished brands, including Tommy Hilfiger, Gillette, Rover and Tag Heuer. From reality TV, men's health magazines and online fashion collaborations, these two digital dudes are growing their fan base daily. Navigating the negative side of social media has rewarded them personal growth, insight, understanding about their mental health, plus brilliant experiences and an opportunity to earn big bucks and work alongside artists like Addison Rae. They were the first identical twins on UK favourite dating television programme Take Me Out. Now they're first identical twins to feature here on the Wellbeing Project. Welcome to the show, boys.
I cannot believe you just mentioned Take Me Out. We have not talked about that in years. Can we
What
just...
is that, 10 years
That
ago?
was about 10 years. We were at university then, by the way. And we literally never, ever talk about that. I can't believe you just mentioned that. I'm so angry. No, I'm kidding.
The thing is, you've got to pluck sort of the early parts of the journey.
Yeah,
That's
true.
it, mate. Yeah.
So if I can make you cringe looking back, then you've learned some lessons, haven't
mate,
you?
big
You've gone
lesson,
red.
isn't it? I'm really... Jesus, I'm glad there's no cameras on in here to us today.
Henry.
Yeah, it was a good experience, I'm not going to lie.
It's just hot in here, I'm not going to lie. No, I'm kidding. Well, thank you for having us anyway.
You're quite welcome, boys. I've known you for a little while, so naturally you've grown in that field. And we mentioned Take Me Out. I am interested in that experience because for me, that was the first time that people from San Francisco, this area of high intellect and potential, had gone on and done something really quite cool. How did it happen?
I think it was... We were at university and we were always like these lads at uni, just had a good time, wanted to get on girls all the time, we were out drinking all the time. We were young lads. It's what most college kind of guys, university guys do at that age. And this opportunity came, I remember being on a train home for Christmas, I think it was, and Henry was like, mate, I've just had my friend put us forward as a joke on Take Me Out, and Take Me Out at this time was huge.
Yeah, it was like
the number one TV show.
Was
in
it
England.
ITV?
ITV,
wasn't it?
huge
Yeah.
Saturday night viewing, millions of viewers. And we were like, it would be funny if we got it. And the only reason we really wanted to do it was because we'd get more girls at uni. And that was literally it, mate.
It boosts your profile.
It boosts your
does
profile.
boost
Get
your
a little
profile.
bit of clout at uni. And that was literally the only reason we did it. And we did it and we got on. And yeah, we did pretty well on it.
Yeah.
And it was just like a bit of a laugh at the time.
It
It was
was,
just a laugh. And it was like, we didn't expect to get anything from it, which we didn't really. We got a couple of Twitter
I think
followers.
at
but we
this
didn't really
time, like Instagram or social media wasn't exactly huge,
No,
so
nothing
there
big,
wasn't
yeah.
like anything massive out there. I think Twitter was just a thing. I think I
Yeah.
got like 3,000 followers on Twitter. But that show initially was like one of the most watched Take Me Out show ever to exist.
And we were trending on Twitter.
That's pretty cool, isn't it, though,
We
in
were Twitter.
itself? Because you were sitting on the precipice as social media influencers. We're all sitting in the wings waiting for these other sort of platforms to be created so that people could dive into it.
Yeah.
And you'd had that first taste. I think that's kind of cool.
It was just, at that time, like Henry said, there was no social media really going around, was there? And this kind of came out and...
Facebook statuses were big.
Yeah, it was Facebook. It was all about Facebook, wasn't it? Like, you could just be, Henry just loved a good Facebook status. And then if we got like 100 likes on a Facebook status, we'd be like, oh my God, this is cool. And then we went on Take Me Out. We're like, it just gave us something to talk about and a bit of clout. And that was really,
it was a great
just a bit of
experience.
fun.
It was good fun, and we get to tell the tale. Do you know what I mean? Been on TV, 15 minutes of fame, and it was a good laugh. And you can't knock that. And I think it takes a bit of courage to do something like that for sure.
Yeah, courage. Great word. What does that mean to you?
I guess, going out of your comfort zone and kind of doing things that you wouldn't normally do, because that's how you're going to essentially grow.
Yeah. This show's called The Wellbeing Project. I want to ask you what well-being means to you.
I think for us...
For you?
Yeah, okay. William speaking here. I think when you listen to a podcast of Henry and I, you realise we sound very alike. So people are like, which one of you speaking? So it's William here. Every time I speak, I'll just say W before. No, I'm kidding. What's well-being mean to me? I think it's just a lifestyle kind of thing. I think well-being for me is living a healthy lifestyle. Get up in the morning, we go to the gym, we train, we work out, we look after ourselves. So I think just being like focused on health for me is a massive, massive thing. And that's really it, yeah.
What about yourself, H?
Oh, well-being for me, I think it's just taking care of your overall health, really. Whether it be your own body through fitness and training and nutrition, or through your mental health in terms of relationships you have and just having those good conversations with people, that's definitely going to boost your well-being for sure. If you have chats with different people in loads of different situations and environments, you're just going to bring all that knowledge together, and that's where you're going to get your best ideas from, and that's where you're going to learn from the most. And that makes me really creative as well. It ignites flames in my brain to give me those kind of ideas. And basically what I was saying was well-being for me is like, people is so important to my well-being.
You'll find Henry and I love to go a bit off topic because we love talking.
That's cool. I mean, I'm just picking out on different bits that I hear as I'm listening to you both talking, and I just think the goal has to be growth through other people, through connection.
Yeah.
And that's where you're going to sort of start to fill yourselves up a little bit, boys, isn't it?
I always say what makes the world go round is people. People make the world go round. And I've always liked to think I'm very good with people. And Henry especially as well. So when we go into a room or when we go to an event, the first thing we try and do is look out for how we're going to introduce ourselves, how we're going to go and speak to that person, or what we're going to say to them, or stuff like that. And because we believe connections are everything in this world.
Yeah, so you boys, like in the intro, you got an abundance of energy, and you bounce off of each other. You create like a little bit more potential in who's around you, and that's explosive. I'm an identical twin as well, and I want to understand about. I know that you separated in the sense of university, both spent different time in different universities, created a bit of an individual sort of personality, but you work together, you've lived together. How's the dynamics?
It's really difficult. Like, people don't really understand a twin bond. And,
I do.
Oh, you do.
Let's try and get everyone else to.
Or a duo like this. We're like a married couple, really, because you've been living with each other. Well, you've been born in a womb for the last 9 months, and then we've been living with each other the last 29 years, on and off or whatever. And it's really tough. I think when we went to university, you had this whole individual kind of platform. You are Henry, whereas before it was always you're one of the Way twins, and it can be really hard because if Will was to do something wrong, or I was to do something wrong, it backlashes on both of you. It doesn't just affect one of you. It's like, oh, those Wades, or those Wades. It's not, oh, William did that. It's those Wades. And we've both always got each other's support, and we'll back each other no matter what we do. But it can be really, really difficult. So when we went to university, we had that individual personality come through, and it was quite nice to be known as Henry, and not know about the twin thing, because I built my own individuality. But then now, as we've got older, it's a bit of a tough one.
So we'll just explain, that was the first time when we were 18 years old, we went to separate universities. It was the first time in our life we'd ever really kind of like gone apart. That was the time in our life which we look back at and we both gained so much from.
Yeah.
We became so confident because you had to live on your own 2 feet. I think
you leveled up.
Yeah, you leveled up. Going from when we were born all the way up to 18 years old. When we were at school, high school, whatever, we were obviously put in separate classes. But naturally, we both formed the same friendship groups, naturally. Then we went to college, again, naturally formed the same friendship groups, even though we're in different classes. And then it was like, right, mate, this is the time where we really need to go to just different ways. It wasn't like we hated each other, we got on really well. It was like, let's just try something different.
No, Will just couldn't get into the good unis like me.
Yeah.
But I think...
Henry's the more clever twin. I'm
more cleverer, see, there we go.
I'm more streets.
It's all right, Harry's a really clever edit.
So we're leaving that in.
I'm more street smart. Henry is
far more intelligent. Anyway, but I think
Henry's better at writing an essay. Let's just say that.
Perfect combo. Go on, let the man speak.
And then, so it was our first time we went to Part. And it was like, listen, I went to Leeds, Henry went to Newcastle. I think the uni taught us so much. Like the actual educational side, at the end of the day, to me, uni just teaches me how to write an essay. I learned so much from just being around people
skills,
networking, living on my own, talking to people, having to introduce myself, learning how to cook every single night. Do you know what I mean? Learning to live. And that made me who I am today because I became so confident.
But you're not a twin anymore.
Yeah,
so
you're literally on your own, aren't you, when you go to
which we kind of really liked because we actually
became
became so much closer. we're always best mates. We've always said this thing, we're best friends, worst enemies. And we actually came so close when we went to separate unis because we were always calling each other, wanting to know what each other's doing, how we're getting on, and whether we can help in some sort of way.
Walking to uni, I'll see what Henry's doing.
And it was really nice when Will came up to Newcastle. I'd introduce him to my friends and like vice versa with him. As time goes on, we left uni, we went travelling the world together. And then we came back, we went to London, and we kind of started realising, like, do we want to be this twin brand as the Wade twins going forward, or do we want to have our own individual kind of brand? And we're still struggling with that today. We're not perfect. We don't know some things we want to do by ourselves, some things we love working together because we know that is our unique, people know us as the twins. And if we can play it off in the right direction, then it really works to our favour.
It's you're born with niche.
Literally
like,
you
if
are.
you can lean into that and make a go of that. But to credit both of you as individuals, you both have roles to play in your solo work. You have to gain that sort of wisdom and that belief. And that's where having that away time, and when you can come back, you're still going to row and argue for the rest of eternity because that's the nature of such a close bond.
Yeah, Will and I are actually, we are so different. Like people, and if you know us really well, you will know that we actually have such different personalities. And that's great. It's just trying to, when we do come together, utilising each other's benefits so we can be a stronger bond instead of like pulling each other's hair out as brothers mostly do. But I think we're doing all right. We're learning every day about one another, and I think that's so important. Like, you're constantly learning.
Practice makes progress, boys, and the thing is, your progression is clear to see. So you're doing some of it right, and you're finding out the failures, but that they sort of inform you on the successes, don't they? And
it's a PR thing at the end of the day. If Will and I were to do something together, then people are like, oh, these two twins are doing something. It's quite interesting, and that can benefit to our favours. But you've got to look after number one. What do you see? Can you? If I hated working with Will every day, I can't do that for myself, even if I saw the benefits.
Well, that's why now we've got our own place in London. So we have an apartment each. And then we still work together, but it's great. That means when we finish work, right, I'm going home now. And I can go and chill. Whereas when we used to go home, we'll carry on talking about business. We'll carry on talking about work.
Fight for the microwave, fight for the shower.
There's no game over.
Yeah, there was no stopping. So now you actually have that break. When you go home, I can stop talking about it.
What are your both your habits like then? Are they very similar in the sense of your discipline to sort of your morning routines, your evening routines? I know you're now at the moment fasting because you missed out on an amazing breakfast.
I'm the guinea pig. I'm the guinea pig. When it comes to things, I'm always like, fuck, I'm going to try something different. I'm going to try
Will's the one who
this.
jumps off the cliff first, and I'll go second. You go first.
Yeah, but that's because you're better educated.
We've
already established that.
I'm the risk taker, but I'm the risk taker. I've always been the risk taker. So, and I don't know if that Henry's always like, you're such an unlucky twin. I think it's because I'm the risk taker, and I always go first, always, no matter what. Like Henry's right. When we're travelling, I'll always be the one to jump off the cliff first, or just to check if the water's all right. Yeah, we'll send Will down first.
We've got to.
Tell about it.
But we are quite disciplined with our like morning routines, our evening routines. We're very similar in that kind of sense.
We like the same things. We just like the same things.
If we learn off each other, like I'm still learning things that Will does.
Do you think there's something in it with the eldest and the youngest? Because there's only 3.5 minutes. There's like 10 or so minutes.
12 minutes.
That's a long bit of labour in between. I will say that I feel sorry for your mum. You two are massive lumps as well.
We came out tiny, mate.
What size were you?
Yeah, we came out way below. My mum.
What, like 5 pounds?
I think it was less than that. Henry came out blue. Because he was like, he couldn't breathe properly. So we came out really, really light because obviously when you're twins, I think also you're sharing a lot of stuff, so you don't get as much.
Yeah, there's normally, we can all gloss it up and say that there's some really beneficial things, obviously, naturally on the outside world. But actually, you're sharing a feed line, you're sharing, the warmth of a certain bit of the womb. It's already, you're competing inside.
Of course, exactly.
That's why we're so competitive on the outside.
Exactly. So we came out and we were really underweight and stuff. And we were obviously healthy. Henry came out a bit dodgy, like he is today. But no, I'm kidding. My mum and dad are always really shocked at how we've grown up to be the biggest lads in our family. Like we're 6'3". We're like 190 pounds to need 200 pounds kind of thing. Big boys, but people look at us and they're like, you are big old lads. And we're like, we're just naturally, because we love training, obviously, whatever.
I think it's that level of
puberty helped us loads.
That competition Will and I kind of have with one another. We used to always have this quite like, I want to be the better twin, so I would like to train harder. And that level of competitiveness between one of us has actually pushed us to do more. Like we always wanted to, I think as kids it was always like, well, I want Will to do really well in this race, but I want to beat him just by 1 minute. So we want to come say number 1 and 2, but I want to win just by a fraction. And I guess that's not a bad thing, but I think as we've got older, we've started to realise actually collaborating with one another is a lot better than trying to constantly compete with one another. So when we get jobs today, it's like, right, how can we both get this job instead of just one of us?
Willing one another on. And actually, and the thing is, the person on the other end, or the business or the project, they're wanting you to deliver that as well because they're coming to you for that. So to see immaturity in how you condone yourselves, and if you're not breathing, as we were saying, one takes one in, that's going to come across, and that's going to isolate certain people because they're going to think, no, I know some twins and they were an absolute nightmare.
I don't think our relationship we've had is just like a twin thing. Like, I can see us happening like married couples. So we've known each other for 29 years. Imagine you've been married for 29 years. You know everything about that person, and you've got to understand ways to improve that relationship because when you get older, this is why divorce rates are so high right now, because people are done with their relationship. Bill Gates broke up with his wife. He thought it was a perfect relationship. The one thing they said to each other why they broke up was because they stopped learning from one another, which I think is actually a really beautiful thing to say, and it's honest.
I think it is, I agree.
And I think that's the thing with Will and I. Like, if we stopped learning from one another, we'd be like, right, I'm a bit bored of you now.
You can't teach to offer me, Henry.
You can't teach me. Okay. You can't teach me anything more. But the thing is, this is what
I hate him. He got nothing to offer me.
But we're now doing things to improve our relationship. So we see a therapist. We do things in our own space. We do things together, and that improves your relationship together. And I think that's what other couples or people in relationships can do as well. Like, if you think you're done with the relationship, you're not.
That's a really intuitive point to make, because you don't have a choice in the sense of being twins, but you do have a choice to come together and collaborate. And a lot of twins do, but a lot of twins have to work over this. And that's a great point for married couples. And I never thought that you'd touch on anything that would be beneficial to a married couple. There's sentiment in what you're saying, because I think you're absolutely right. For instance, I've been with my missus for a long time. I'm an identical twin, 41 years. And I look at my relationship with my missus and I think, I'm not the same person I was yesterday.
Yeah, of course.
So how am I bringing something to her? How are we learning? We've got 3 kids.
Yeah.
You know, I do all of these things. I bring all this nuance to their lives. And yeah, sometimes she's like, haven't you spoken enough, mate?
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
I totally get you.
But I'm bringing something. I'm keeping it fresh. I'm keeping it interesting. There's always an angle, and I'm looking to improve. And we've got these girls that are growing and developing. And I think you're bang on. I think you've got to look for whoever's in your relationship. How can I let you learn from me, and how can I learn from you? How can we get that exchange?
We could easily be like, right, I don't want to ever work with you again, Will. I'm going to go one way, you're going to go the other way, and we just don't have that brotherly bond. But I think that would be letting something go, which is quite unique that we do have. So yeah, there's always things you can work towards and work through as well to fix the situation.
Okay. On the note we're talking about work, briefly, just explain exactly what you do, because when you first started out in the world of social media platform, content creating, no one really knew about it. It's massive now. It's everyone's dream job. Tell me about it.
We're full-time content creators now, so we've been doing lots of social media work. I'll kind of bring it back to the last 5 years of our lives, and I'll run through it really quickly to see how we got started and kind of where we are today. So we were at university, obviously, and H and I didn't do anything on social media. It was all about Facebook statuses. We both wanted to be the big name on campus, talk to everyone, being the big dog kind of thing. And then we were like, right, mate, we can't live in Leeds and Newcastle. It's too small for us. Let's go somewhere bigger and better. So we wanted to travel the world. Went to travel the world and had a really good time, partied hard, started living in Australia, and we just started reading more books and understanding a bit more on social media. Gary Vaynerchuk was talking about Instagram, Twitter, you got to get on it. And we were like, should we just try and do something, H? We were in really good physical shape, and should we just start picking up a camera, H, and just doing some stuff? And he was like, yeah, let's give it a go. So we invested about, £1,000 into a camera.
We started documenting our journey along travelling and how to stay fit on the road. We got a blog, and it was actually quite funny. We started this thing called thewaytwins.com, and I remember the first day I released it, I got like 4 random people on fake accounts being like, what the hell are you doing? That you're going to fail.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, am I going to fail? Like, geez, if they're telling me now, I may as well quit. And then I remember Will was like, nah, just do it, keep going. And I think that was quite good that we had each other, because it was always supporting one another.
Absolutely.
And I guess we got back to London, we got full-time jobs, and we were doing this on the side hustling a bit, like creating content, because we really just believed that what we were doing was showcasing our ideal fashion, our ideal lifestyle, really, keeping fit on the going, whatever. And hopefully that could benefit or motivate some individuals to get in shape and build their confidence. And then we started knocking down our days at work to 4 days, because we started to get busier. We started to get some more work. We then 3 days, then 2 days, then 1 day. And then it's kind of just the whole Instagram and social media work has just completely transformed now. It's so different. Like before it was just a photography platform. Now it's a video platform. And now there's more apps like TikTok are coming, YouTube, and all these reels and things. So you have to be so much more creative. And we got in at quite a nice time where I was just learning about photography, like Lightroom. And now I personally love photography. So I do some shoots for brands and stuff and actually being the photographer, which I really enjoy. And then there's the creative side to us, which we really love doing. And so we're now working with brands, and essentially our job is to help brands showcase their brand message and push it out to our audience and see what they're trying to do. Because brands 10, 15 years ago, especially high street retailers, had a completely different message to what they do now. So if we like the brand, it's our job to kind of showcase that and let them know what they're up to and how we can push it to our audience. And we've got quite a big audience now, and it seems to be liking and trusting what we're doing.
It's just been a slow growth. Like I said, we've been doing this only 4 and a bit years now. And then you've got to think actually where we're going to be in the next 4.5 years and what we want to achieve and what we want to do and stuff. And I think I like to say it's just about doing more. And I think this year we both said, let's just do as much as we can this year. Take a bit more risks and just do some more stuff.
I always believe you don't fail, you just don't pass.
You just learn.
And you just take it on to your next thing.
I think the only thing I think of failure really is you only fail if you don't try, because you can't fail if you try.
Yeah,
it's impossible to fail because it's just how you then frame the lesson that you've just learned. What did that make me do? How did I grow from that? What was the benefit from that?
Absolutely.
So you've got to double down on your failures to increase your chance of success.
I think there's a quote by someone who says something along the lines of, if you're not laughing at your first product, then you're too late. And I think that's quite nice, because obviously you're going to look back from when you first started and be like, what was I doing then? That just shows your growth, right? If we were producing the same content we were back when we first started, then we'd probably have the same following.
We will all cringe.
Yeah, we'd all cringe. Yeah, but that's
so important.
We look back at what we were wearing 5 years ago. I was like, what are those jeans?
On that note, because obviously, we're talking about changing platforms. Once you've put stuff out, now you guys have tweaked things. It's pretty dangerous. Like when I was travelling, back in the day, I was one of you guys, the same as we were talking out there. Like I knocked for my friends. I had a little notepad with all the names of the people. I had 10p's in my pocket to make a phone call. I turned up, mate. I turned up, not just for myself, but for my mates, for my agreement. I had different disciplines and virtues on the basis of the way we lived.
Yeah.
Now, it's all recorded. It's easy to sidestep. It's easy to swipe left and right. And you don't process like a real deep connection.
Yeah.
We're both identical twins. We have a deep connection. I'm deeply connected to sort of living up to those values. They enter the room before anything does. What I worry about is youngsters in the naivety is just putting stuff out that it's going to be so regretful. I know you two are laughing about it. Have you got any of those mega moments, or would you advise people to
on social media and
put a massive edit on things, or just go for it?
When you say just go with it, I think looking back, when I was at university, right, I cared so much what people thought of me, and I was so conscious about what putting out or whatever. I was just like, honestly, I remember putting a selfie up on my Instagram, and I was like, oh my God, delete it. No, I'm too panicky. Or people
I only got like 10 likes or whatever, do you know what I mean?
But it's like I cared so much what people think. And the one thing I say to everyone now who wants to do anything with their life is just do it.
I think it's hard being at that age though. So at the age of 20, when you're growing in your 20s, there's so much pressure to have a nice house or pay rent for a nice place, have a really secure job,
impress your parents,
impress your friends, see your friends, meditate, make vegan brownies at the weekends or whatever, do you know what I mean? And all this pressure builds up and we just can't do it all. The problem is we try and then it puts us on, why aren't we doing it? Because we compare ourselves to the people on Instagram, and the problem is comparison is the thief of joy. And it really is, because we're going through all these Instagrams, seeing everyone do everything, which is supposed to be the most perfect way to live, and we're not doing it. And then there's so much pressure on ourselves, and that puts you in a mental state.
Instagram is a highlight reel, and do not follow like what you see. Yeah, appreciate it and be like, oh, that's cool, but don't get there.
I think people need to wise up and to sort of get their boundaries sort of in place.
Do you know what? You need to use Instagram or any social media. The most successful people in the world use it for not entertainment, but for education. And I think that's so important. Like if you can utilize it to grow, learn. Like I watch YouTube videos on I taught myself photography through YouTube, and that is just,
it's brilliant. It's so cool that you can do that.
We're teaching ourselves to play piano at the moment.
Yeah,
literally just through YouTube
on the app
and apps and stuff.
Yeah.
Teaching ourselves. Like people like watching out.
It's so cool.
It's
so cool. You guys, you said about going to Cambodia, and I just want to make a point on why those people are so happy, because I think it's really, again, another really important message in there is because they've got an emotional abundance, because they've got everything they need. We
always wanted more.
Emotionally barren. Our landscape is
so
dry.
Do you know what? H and I, we're so bad at this. We always want more. We're always fighting for more. We want to be better. We want to provide for our families. We want to look after ourselves.
So
which is a great thing. But
as
I think
humans,
also you've got to be able to actually be a bit more present. But actually, relax. You've hit your goals today.
Cool.
Well done, mate.
As humans, we're built to climb, right? We're supposed to be always moving forward, and it's natural in our brains that we need to do that. But I think the thing is, it's just you've got to enjoy the journey and not just wait for the end goal, because I think constantly people get to the end goal, then they're like, all right, that's it. And they forget the whole journey. They say the best journey is the one with no destination, because you just got to enjoy that journey. But when you do get a bit of success, stand on that cliffside and enjoy the view for a bit, but then get back on that stair climber and go again.
I like the fact that you said about climbing. Also, it's sort of material driven, but we climb and mine. That's where the materials of this planet sort of get lost, isn't it? Because we just want to keep on digging, keep on climbing. And there's no goal that's ever finished if you've got that sort of mindset. So there's a great deal in that separating yourself on those two ends of the spectrum to be grounded at right here, right now. Yeah. And that's the gratitude that you've mentioned. That's where it is. It's the celebrating those little wins, those little successes. And it's all relative to where you are on that sort of journey with no final destination. There's nothing finite about what you're doing. You have no idea of the potential of where you can go and what you're going to do.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're so right with what you say. I think for H&I, we're only really just getting started. We think the last 5 years of what we've been doing has literally just been a warm-up for us, and we know there's so much more to come of what we want to offer and what we want to do. We've just learned so much in the last 5-6 years.
I think you've got to set really high, ambitious goals.
You've got to push yourself. You've got to push yourself. Ambitious. Moonshots.
I
love that.
Our biggest goal is we want to be the first identical twins on the front of GQ magazine.
The only thing is,
I think you do realise me and Jim are probably going to beat you to that.
Shut up. Good luck. I'll see you.
You're probably right.
I'll see you up there. I think
the thing is, with goals like that,
we'll be the second then.
For the industry you're in, that would be like a medal. Now you've done it. That's like medalling. And then it's, where do you medal up? Where's the Olympics of that? So how do you then continue to sort of reframe the goal?
Is it gold medal culture or something? Like a lot of Olympians, they did a study of them where they basically came back after they won a gold medal, and they're actually really depressed when they came back because they've got that gold medal. They're number one. Like, how do you stay there? And
I think as well, 4 years, they know that the ultimate goal for them is to retain that. Imagine going, I've got 4 years of eating yams and pulling that sled and getting up at 4 a.m. and not partying and not seeing my friends. They're probably some of the most unhappiest people on the planet.
Absolutely. Yeah, so true. Yeah.
You know, any elite athlete. So to be an elite performer of whatever you're doing, I think
there's no balance in life when you're that level.
You got to take it back and just be like, right, you want to be elite, you want to be the first boys on the GQ magazine. I want to see that. So when's that going to happen?
Well, that's our 5-year goal.
Right, 5-year goal.
But it's very like entrepreneurs, aren't they? It's like you're saying to the Olympians and these athletes, to get to the best, you have to be on your own quite a lot of the time. And a lot of entrepreneurs who start their own businesses are on their own. Part of the whole journey is doing it by yourself, because you can't afford a team or anything yet. It's about isolating yourself and just believing. And I think belief is, you've got to have that belief, because if you don't, then if you're not believing in yourself, then how are you supposed to go to the next step? And I think having that courage to push forward is so important, especially when others don't believe in you. People don't really believe it until you start making money. Like, even my best friends today say to me, you know what, Henry, I honestly thought, what the hell are you doing? Like, this is a joke, embarrassing. But now I see you, man, and I'm so inspired by you. And I'll make that. I appreciate your honesty, but I just had it in me, and I just knew. It's a bit of, what's that, law of attraction kind of thing. I kind of do believe, if you manifest something, believe it enough, it will come to you, but you've got to put in the work.
I think as well, you've got to be, you touched on the word before, and we can sort of hammer in on that. That real growth and that real confidence comes from when you can truly be authentic, so that you become in that flow. There's a frequency and a vibe.
But the problem Will and I do have is when we walk into a room, a lot of people immediately judge us as being arrogant and cocky, because we're tall, we dress well, we laugh, we're outgoing characters. And then what they say to us is, do you know what, it's really funny, when I first met you I thought you were really arrogant, but now I've just really got to know you, and I'm like, I really like you boys. And I'm like, mate, do you know, I always say it's not how you start, it's how you finish. But how do you get this? How do you get your personality over Instagram? And people judge you because you've got, listen, I probably do 6 Instagram stories a day worth 15 seconds each. Do the maths, whatever. That's like a minute and a half showing of your day over 24 hours. And people are so quick to judge what you do in your day and how you are and what you are like as a person. A lot of this influencer thing is people think you're very, influencer is not a proper job. You're content creator, you don't do much. Well, actually, I can tell you, I'm a content creator, a director, a designer, a scouter.
You're an entrepreneur.
Yeah,
you're a digital entrepreneur.
I couldn't agree more.
In the greatest scheme of things. I think the thing is you capture the attitude of what a lot of people sort of have as their mission statement. I want to work for myself. I want to be my own boss. But a lot of the intention that comes behind those statements is I want to do less for more. They've got it all wrong.
All wrong, yeah. People want to be their own boss because they think, I get to go have coffee with my mates. I get to go out during the day. I don't have to ask my boss to go on holiday. Right. You take less holiday because you're working all the time. And when you do go on, I think the problem is when we first started doing this, I had serious anxiety issues, and I still do now. Like, I don't sleep that well at night because I've got an ambitious mind. I'm constantly thinking about the next idea. So I have a journal. I journal all the time because I'm making so many notes about ideas that pop into my head, which is great, but it's also exhausting.
You need you
need a switch, and I'm doing things to help me switch off. So, for example, I don't touch my phone an hour before bed. I read before bed now. I don't touch my phone first hour in the morning because I like to have me time. I disconnect from everything. I love to work out. I do my cold water therapy. That really helps me. It gives me more mental clarity. It gives me more calmness to my day instead of just being like go, go, go all the time. Because when you first start a business, no matter what it is go, go, go. Whether it be content, you go, a day goes past and you're like, oh my God, I haven't posted an Instagram photo. Oh my God, my audience, what the hell? Like, haven't done this, haven't done that.
Yeah, the doubt just starts flooding.
Dripping.
But that's a driver. You mustn't get into the habit of letting that trigger the negativity. It's like the positivity. Totally. It's like, I've got the reminder.
Yeah.
And I'm going to smile.
Yeah.
I'm going to, because I have to do the same. So I have to keep on reminding myself, I'm working.
Yeah.
Whatever I'm not asleep, I'm working.
Yeah.
Trying to be totally present and extract the benefits of being within a family unit and make sure that I'm not working at those times. But you know what you got to do when you got to do it. It's just about how you perceive yourself when you're doing it and how you attach yourself to those actual physical feelings. When we're talking about anxiety, it can be literally, I can wake up in the morning, download. It goes straight to my stomach. But it's a mental thing, and it's me going, I've got to do this. I've got to meet with you guys. Actually, I didn't have any this morning because I thought, man, I love these boys. They're so cool.
Do you know what? I think touching on the point of anxiety, I don't think it'll ever be a thing that doesn't happen. It's just knowing how to control it better and learning the mechanisms and things to cope with it.
I think it's calmed down a lot for you and me, though. We went through a stage. I think COVID obviously didn't help anyone either.
No.
And we were stuck in a house together trying to compete. We were essentially competing because we weren't getting much work at the time. The whole world shut down and everyone was like, what's going on?
Yeah, scrambling for their own.
And that's when exactly. And we really, really struggled then. And it hit us so bad. I was having anxiety attacks, like mini panic attacks, every other day, and I was so scared. I was on my phone to my parents crying every other day.
But we had just gone and rented this brand new apartment because they were like, oh my God, so we went out of our comfort zone. Instead of paying like £800 rent, we've gone up to $1,500, and all these things like, right, we're going to work really hard this year, boom, world stops. What can you do in those situations? People had to make that leap though, didn't they? Like, look at fitness people. People like, nope, gyms are going to be back open. So I won't do any of this home workout. And it never happened. But those people going, well, let's give it a try. Let's be the home workout guy. Joe Wicks, fair play to him. Millions of people on YouTube and doing it for a really positive reason.
I was going to say, he didn't just do it. That's where what I would say there's a level of authenticity that projected him way beyond where he could even imagine.
Anyway.
Because he did it for children, for schools, because he looked at a problem and thought, these guys are going to be stuck. I can do something. He had no idea it was going to get that
with fitness
much
sort of
pull. It was great. I used to do those workouts with him before my online workout.
It was hard with us because we obviously were showing off clothes, and fashion is one of our biggest things. But this is when we really started to become like a lifestyle content creator. Like the good thing about when I was
and stuff.
we're not just talking about fashion. But fashion is a part of our life, which is great. It's a huge industry, and we love it. We love styling up well. But also there's the other side to it, we started working with loads of other brands. It was like TV companies and drinks companies and stuff. And it's kind of a whole
It helped you adapt.
Oh, definitely,
Forced you to, but it actually helped you to. And then, because you started therapy within this period of time as well, didn't you?
Yeah. Do you know what? I hate the word therapy. It's got a stigma to it, hasn't it?
Well, it can.
When someone says therapy, I think people think, you've got something wrong. You've got something wrong with you.
No, I've got something right with me because I want to learn about myself and I want to have a different.
But that's how we should.
It's like life coaching. It's 100%. Like, I'm a therapist, but I'm not a qualified therapist. I sit there and I cut people's hair and I give them
you talk 100%.
insight. I support them. I listen to them, and this will be therapy for all of us because we'll all learn something.
Definitely,
it's great.
So therapy is essentially like tapping into your subconscious mind and going back into past deep details of when you were a kid and pulling them out and being like, wow, this is how I've got this, and understanding it and help you move on to and understanding you as who you are and how you've become that. And since Will and I have had it, I mean, this woman we see, her name's Alexis Main. She is incredible. What's great as well is Will and I see the same person, and our parents will be very biased on who we are and what we're like because they've known us for years, whereas she is literally like, I know you for you, and I know you for you, Will. And it's really nice. And we've just learned so much about ourselves, about how to work with each other better.
We sometimes do joint chats, don't we, as well? Yeah, just get everything out on the table. Right, Henry, you've pissed me off last week. Why did you do that? Shit, yeah, I shouldn't have done that. I'm really sorry.
Are you learning to let each other have your time and give each other the space? Because that will really promote you as well, you know, because it's a very kind act to allow someone their moment.
Yeah. And it's hard because I think being twins, you both want to be
difficult.
You both want to be the driver. You both want to be. So my friend asked me the other day, he goes, "Which one of you is the driver twin?" I went, "We both want to be it." And he goes, "It's hard to be it." And I'm like, "Yeah,
the steering wheel.
Yeah, literally
Feet on the pedals.
You're so right, mate. It's hard.
When we were kids, it was like shotgun driving today. Literally, we share the car.
You want to be the kid driving it, and you want to be the driver of the relationship. Like you want to be the one. It's considered today like cool to wear the trousers in a relationship. Do you know what I mean?
In our thing, I think I would never look at like who's a driver in our relationship.
No,
I'd say like we're both exactly the same, really.
It's just knowing when to help each other out.
Yeah, that's it. I think it's the perception, and you, again, we talked about that prejudgment. For instance, listening to my podcast personally, I have no niche because I think the best way to learn is to afford the time to listen to people that you don't know. Across the board, a massive sound space, a landscape full of exciting potential.
That's what we said earlier, didn't we?
Why should I be stuck listening to the algorithm, the same thing that's being pumped to me? And I think, again, it leads to, well, why do people prejudge? It's because they're so used and expectant in their own field. You can't judge something that you don't know. So you have to sit back and listen, and people are uncomfortable.
So true.
Let's get this back on track. Yeah, so we were throwing around on the prejudgment. Let's go into the actual social media content. When you put this stuff out, and let's say you're not feeling great, but you've got this pressure to sort of keep on releasing because there's this expectant, and you've set those goals. And I know you're both quite different in that sense.
Very similar, really. I think just lately, since I had a massive fire incident, I've just been all over the place.
It's put you off a bit.
Yeah, it's put me off.
So let's talk about that, because that's the difficulties. Life happens. Life happens, yeah. So tell me what happened in that instance and how that's affected how you're doing stuff.
Absolutely. I think with Henry and I, I'll go back to a little bit of a different point, but in our last year, we were having some really good times, and we were like, everything was going really well, and then suddenly, bam, we'd be hit with something. Especially when the fire happened in my apartment, that was a big dip in the life curve. You know, like all my possessions being destroyed. Like
it wasn't just a little fire.
Yeah, the whole thing.
It was mega.
Yeah. So I was expecting to come home the next day and it'd just be a bit of black on the wall.
We both went back together, and I was like,
wow,
this is so much worse than I thought. Yeah,
could have been dead though. So lucky to.
Yeah, again, that's why I'm grateful, because that could have gone so much worse.
Yeah,
and again, no one was hurt, thank gosh. It then gave me, it kind of in my head, I actually thought, Will, why don't we use this opportunity, just being real now with your audience, being a bit more open. I think people really want to see that now, and I think that's why with me now, I love doing the creative stuff, but I want to be a bit more like, it doesn't have to be that clean. Just had to be more open and be a bit more fun and stuff.
Start fresh.
Yeah, start fresh kind of thing. So that's what I've tried to do. So don't get me, the last 2 months, I haven't been as active as I'd like on my Instagram, or even on any social media. Like my YouTube's taken a massive pause, even trying to do TikTok stuff, because I'm back home essentially with my family now in Cambridge, or Henry's in London. So I've got to take these long trips into London every day or every other day, try and crack on my work and then come back. Or if I'm staying at Henry's, I've got to sleep on the floor, or I get a hotel or whatever. So my life's kind of all over the place at the moment, and I'm very unsettled. And I'm a person who loves routine. I love a structure to my day, and I haven't got that structure yet. So it's very difficult. So things have been a bit slow with creating stuff, but look, that's natural. So I'm just fighting to get back to London at the moment, trying to find a new place, get all the things sorted out. But this is a process where I'm just going through at the moment.
So it's almost like Will and I need to learn, actually. Routine's great, but when you're thrown out of place, how can you adapt? And that's one thing we're trying to learn better.
I think it's a really cool thing to learn.
Yeah,
that's what I wanted to say. What did you learn?
It's life, mate. And I think one thing I've definitely learned, you can't dwell on the past for so long. It's happened now. There's nothing I can do about it. The past, don't worry about it. The future's not happened yet, so you shouldn't really think about it too much. Just be present in the moment. And that's one thing I try to tell myself every single day.
It's so hard.
Because it's so hard though, because all we Henry and I, we always think into the future. And that's one thing which made our anxiety in the past really bad, because we were always thinking, what's tomorrow bring? What's the next day? Where are we going to be in a year's time? Where are we going to be in 5 years' time? But we've calmed down massively now, but that has helped massively to really focus on being present.
I think if to advise somebody in the same sort of situation, I would say then you have those maps, you have those mind maps, that board, that you've got your 3 months, your 1 year, your 3 years, your 5-year plan. That's brilliant. Like, download it. That is fluid, man. That ain't going to stay the same.
No. Yeah, exactly.
And then, you know, I do a thing with my daughters, and I call it the mindset mirror. So I get them to come to the mirror, and they say, so it's a mantra. So I'm happy, I'm healthy, I'm strong, and I'm going to win today.
That's amazing.
And then they repeat that in their head. So their eyes on as well. So they're turning up to the mirror. These young people let's face it, there's a lot of people that turn up to a mirror and don't like what they see.
Yeah, absolutely.
But they're turning up for themselves. They're positively building themselves.
I love that.
They then sit there and they give themselves a high five like the Mel Robbins thing.
I was about to say that.
Totally stolen that
I was
from
just
her.
about to say that.
Oh, no, obviously.
It was in my head.
Yeah, but you have to take and glean from what everyone else is doing.
Course,
and I saw the high five thing, and the basketball team, they did it all before, and I like that. I like the science behind it, how that releases from this innate sort of pharmacy. You've got boots inside you. Subtle differences make the biggest changes over long distance.
We're so big.
Agree more with that.
This one thing we've massively learned the last few years as well is our small daily habits we do now. Even if it's the tiniest things of our morning stretch routine or working out in the gym or something, there's the small daily habits which aren't going to make overnight a success, but over a long time they're going to make you a better person.
They all add up.
And it does. Like the meditation when we do a stretch routine, working out, reading, especially like walking 10,000 steps a day. Walking 10,000 steps one day is not going to do anything, but walking 10,000 steps every single day for a year is going to make a massive difference.
Basically, what you're saying is you've got to tip up and pay the man.
Yeah,
that's
definitely
the bottom line of it.
Hey there, it's Howie. Just interrupting really briefly, I've got a quick favour to ask. We don't run ads on the Pod Barber, but if you're finding this podcast helpful, or if you know someone who might benefit from listening to it, please take just 10 seconds to share this episode by tapping on those 3 little dots on your podcast player. From there, you can text or email a link to the show and spread the word of what we're trying to do here. That'd be great. Mick and I really appreciate your help. Okay, back to the show.
You know, if you're coming from like a zero start, you know, and you're first hitting the gym, you do a few bicep curls, mate, you're going to feel like your arms just got massive.
You don't see anything.
No, in a few weeks you see a massive change.
Huge,
But with consistency, discipline, you don't see those big changes. And that's where I miss people get off the wheel, because it's like, I'm not really getting that much out of it.
Consistency
but that's
is
where
so
you've got
clear.
to come back and go,
grind.
mate, I am mining. We're climbers and miners.
Yeah, that's
so
it,
I'm
yeah.
not mining for the material. I'm mining for my material. Now, what am I going to be able to sort of add that little layer of me, that pump? And I think that's what you guys do, and I think that's what you have to do.
You wouldn't tell
That's my
someone to
first
go
one,
run a marathon straight away off their first run, because it would be really hard.
It would be
But you have
stupid.
stupid as well, but you have to build up to it. It's like anything, you build up towards that goal.
It's even like when we started meditating and stuff, like we try and do lots of meditation, but I started off with like 2-minute meditations, and now I can do like a 25-minute meditation. We do really push, and we're like, drink 2 to 5 litres of water a day, you know, try and work out 5 times a week, try and walk 10,000 steps every day, read 10 pages of a book, try and get 6 to 8 hours sleep a night if you can. And like, they're 5 things I try and stick to, and they will make your life, like their factual sense.
It's long term though, isn't it? It's like what you do between Christmas and New Year won't affect your body. It's what you do from New Year until Christmas, which will. So it's like that long term. I don't think anyone's ever been an overnight success. Yeah, you get the odd lucky person or business, but most of the time, like, I only ever end up hearing about some businesses that I've worked. Like, how long have you been around for? They're like 15 years. I'm like, wow, it's funny how I've only just started hearing about you. It's just because it's taken that constant keep going, that compound interest of keep pushing out content, marketing, whatever, to finally get to me as a person. It may have got to someone earlier, but that's now when they've just started to get known. And it's just that constant repetitive going,
like
isn't it?
Conor McGregor, he always says, everyone thinks I'm an overnight success. He goes, you haven't seen the hours I put in when I was a kid, training in the gyms, doing all this stuff. And like Kevin Hart says the same. He goes, I was running back and forth trying to do these underground shows, trying to be funny, and then suddenly I had my moment, and that just elevated me. Like Henry and I haven't had that elevate moment yet, and like I said, we really believe.
Are you sure about that, or is that because your goal is set so much higher now?
Yeah.
Because I wanted to know, like, what do you think your defining moment was? Because you've got like 180,000 people who are interested in you.
I don't think there's necessarily being a defining moment, but I do look back and be like, wow, I've been lucky to experience these things. Like, for example, we've been on set with David Beckham. Beckham came up to us and was like, I remember you boys from working here. And
That's so
it
cool.
was so cool to be literally know David Beckham. Like,
Most famous
we've
people
been
in
on
the
set. Yeah, we've met some real celebrities.
We've Ray,
we've been now invited.
What was
to-
she? What was she like? Because she, I mean, now that we're talking about two very high up people.
Yeah, these are like world
hundreds of
famous,
millions
yeah.
of
Absolutely.
followers.
I think when it comes to people like this, right, we all know them, right? David Beckham, I've grown up with him as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
I know everything about his life. When you meet them in true life, all you want to do is be like, oh my God, how's this? Which is, obviously we don't act like that because we're gentlemen and we're proper people, and we're just like, hey mate, how you getting on? Like, we just talk to them like a normal person. And I think they appreciate that when you talk to them like a normal person. Because they are, at the end of the day, normal people.
They are only just human.
They're only just human.
It's a perception and a prejudgment.
But don't get me wrong, Dave Beckham is one of the most famous people in the world.
I would say, yeah, I'd
and for
agree
him
with
to recognise us and actually have a conversation,
so
is
cool.
we were
It's
like,
quite
cool, yeah.
Henry, we went home and I was pinching myself. And then he shared a picture of us on his story and we were like, oh my God, bro.
Did you notice though from that you had a spike in follows?
No,
like,
actually,
No, he
because
didn't tag us.
he shared a brand. He shared a brand
branded
picture,
photo.
and we were like fuming.
yeah, it's
It
funny.
was just like our friends and people.
you can't
who knew
pipe
us.
feed him in.
No.
Yeah, I was like, hey mate, do you mind just quickly tagging William and Henry J. Wade?
But again, going back to it, it's just like, it's amazing things, and people would really be privileged to be in the position we are. So we do have to sometimes say,
Pinch
well done,
yourselves
mate.
out,
Like, you deserve it. But definitely hasn't been easy. Like, everyone thinks all you do is take Instagram photos. Well, I can tell you right now.
It's not, yeah.
The thing is, what happens is everybody starts to copy. Everyone starts to do the same thing, and that's what sullies it. But it's so crisp. The shoe swapping, the clothes swapping, and naturally you have the added niche of being twins, so
Yeah.
that you can play.
Trust me, it's so hard doing
I
this
can
two of you.
only imagine it's
so
even more
hard.
difficult because it's all timing.
Yeah,
it's all,
oh, mate,
how much
glad you
effort goes
appreciate
into
that.
one of those?
Henry, you
things?
dropped your shoe in a second earlier than me. Get up.
How much
so
time
hard.
for these people that are
Okay,
thinking,
so
I can do that?
Honestly,
that's all you do.
And I get DMs every day.
How do I
going,
do-
how
how do I
did
do
you do
that?
this? Was there an app you did it on? Because obviously there's so many apps now.
Mate, can you give me a quick run? How'd you do that?
Yeah,
I'm like,
and I'm,
"Come
so I
on,
did.
It's
It's not.
hard."
It takes at least probably 5 hours an edit, and then maybe even take more times. Like when we used to not know about lighting and all that and how much that helps, we used to just think about how the outdoor light affects it, because when it goes under, the sun goes behind a cloud.
We're like,
changes
film now,
everything.
film now.
film now.
Yeah, and then
But now
we-
obviously
obviously,
we've got more, we've got
Lighting,
better
we invest in
equipment
a
and
lot,
invest
but-
into it, so we can do it a bit better now. But edits and filming, one video could be a day.
Yeah,
Like
filming a
literally day.
15-second video could take a whole day of editing.
Yeah.
And when you create that piece of content for that clothing brand, I know you're ambassadors for stuff.
Yeah.
Do they say, right, we want something out, or you just do it and then bill them? How does it work?
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a really good management team, and they basically help us and we help them in the sense of we got a network with brands. Like, we love meeting people. Sometimes I don't just want to work for a brand. I want to know the person behind it. Like, I want to know the PR team. I want to know everyone. I want to know the whole brand themselves.
The brand values.
Yeah,
no,
exactly.
We sit down.
So I wanna know-
We have conversations with CEOs of like Superdry, CEOs of all sorts of stuff. Like,
It's nice to know what they're doing as well, and seeing how they've got to where they are, whatever. Like what you're doing here, understand about us. We want to understand about the brand, right? Because I don't want to be talking about a brand I don't know about, and I'm just doing it for the paycheck, because it might not fit our values.
Yeah.
So basically, we get a deal in, and they say, hey, we want to create X amount of content for X price, or would you do it free, or would you do it for this? And then we just have a negotiation with them. But usually we stay away from the negotiation. Our management deals with that, because it's our job to kind of be like, right, I want to become friends with you. Like, I want to make you this deal easy. Like, I want you to pick up the phone to me and go, hey, Henry, mate, I'd love to work with you. How do you feel about our stuff? What works for you? What doesn't? What do you like about it? So then I can get that feedback and give it to the brand and the designers.
When
and
money
stuff.
gets involved,
And then money gets involved.
and we'll deal with the person.
That's really
face-to-face
fortunate
stuff.
that you've got
definitely.
to that level now, because it does keep it cleaner.
Yeah,
Definitely.
absolutely. And we love
More.
that. They get us really good jobs.
You don't have a dog and bark yourself.
Yeah,
do you?
yeah, exactly.
Let's put it that way.
And then Henry and I are the face of our brand and the face of ourselves, essentially. So we go in and do we call it smoozing. we do the schmoozing.
So yeah, and then it goes to that, and then we
We
get
do
a
the
time frame, we get a brief, and we try and work with the brand to create the brief as well, to make it more authentic to our audience, and to help push their brand message out as well, because that's the whole point. They may be releasing a line, and if you're completely off topic with the content, then it's not going to benefit them at all, is it? And at the
Yeah,
end
they
of the
need
day,
a
they're paying-
precursor of what you're doing.
There you go, yeah.
Do you then check data opens, clicks, likes, follow?
Yeah,
everything.
So
all of
you,
it, yeah.
so
CC
almost
workflows,
that's
yeah.
how you harvest that information to
Yeah.
then validate why
Yeah.
these guys are
Yeah,
paying
exactly.
you.
Exactly.
Because
To
it's a
get-
brand new sort of area of the world,
Definitely,
really.
yeah.
So it's a lot of people wouldn't know.
Well, when you look
built
at magazines, you can't really see the ROI, return on investment, right? You see an ad, it may get bought by 15 people in this Sainsbury's, 50 in that WH Smith or whatever, but it doesn't actually know if you've read that specific advertisement. Whereas at least on social media now, the numbers are just there.
They're in your
like,
face, right there.
Yeah, digital
The
opens
analytics
space,
we
yeah.
get for being creators are mental. I can just share whatever I want to anyone, and I give them everything they want.
And it can be frustrating. Sometimes when you create an amazing piece of work, it just doesn't kick off and you're like, how? It was incredible. But then the brand actually sometimes is like, don't worry about it. We understand it.
Algorithms.
We use you because we love your content, and we want you to be a brand ambassador for our brand because you show off exactly what we're after. And that's really rewarding and amazing to hear as well. And a lot of the work we get, we really sieve through because we don't want to work for all the brands because then you do literally become a walking advertisement.
We turn
Again,
down
certain
more work
times
than
of the
we
year,
accept,
Christmas does get busy and you are probably a bit more addy, but then it's because everyone's trying to market, but you kind of do stick to the brands you really believe in. And every brand today I've worked with, maybe not at the beginning, maybe I was just doing it a bit like, oh, that could pay my bills or whatever, but now it's got to the point where I'm like really picky because I don't want to be portraying everything, and I also don't want to be working in brands I don't really necessarily believe in.
Do you now, in that position, have a focus on the natural world?
We're very we're more cautious though. We're more cautious about what we wear and stuff.
No, I think it's got to the point where
it's the world now.
All the top brands are now going like, how can we become more sustainable? Like sometimes when I get I don't really work with fast fashion brands essentially. I just don't believe what they're doing is completely correct. Like, so you see all these articles and stories about how they're treating their workforce is relevant. However, we don't know how much they know. Like, listen, the top end people should know all about it, but maybe they sell something and then it goes to someone else and they deal with it for them. They think, oh, right, I'll do it cheaply. We don't know. But anyway, so yeah, I think it's really important. Like, we started working with brands like Rod and Gun, who they created last year a Waste Not, Want Not collection, which we thought was amazing, was because there was all that old fabric. Every piece was unique because it was all different types of fabric.
Cool.
So it was so cool. So each jumper be like 5 different colours, but all of them would be in different patches.
Yeah,
and
strong.
It's so different. It's just nice to be working with brands who are taking more of an approach like that. And like now you look at other big brands, instead of like, look at Nike, they send their clothes in now paper bags, not plastic. And it's doing those little things which are making differences, and it's noticeable, and I think it's really important.
It's like stuff for life. There's a natural sort of progression, I suppose, that if you look at how materials are harvested, the sweatshops that a load of these fast fashion brands work in, actually some of those guys working in that sweatshop were like, you should have seen my life before.
Yeah.
That might be an upgrade for them.
Yeah, true.
But I'm not saying that I want to support those things, but I want everyone to be lifted, and that means that we all have to be real as to where the world is operating.
Listen,
and you've got to move like that.
You look at what these brands are doing, and to change their daily operations is so tough. They have to start from the ground up. Like, for example, we went away with Jack and Jones, and they took us to their head offices in, was it Norway or somewhere? I can't remember where it was now, but Denmark, I think it was, sorry. And we went there, and it was quite amazing to see how they're building this whole sustainable future, and all their clothing are going to be like organic cotton. But they literally have to start from how they're feeding the animals on the things to get the fur or whatever they're using, or the way they're growing it all without using pesticides, grow the cotton, because obviously cotton's a thing, and all the denim they're using as well, because each pair of jeans you wear is actually 80 litres of water to make it that specific colour. And I'm like, so every pair of jeans I own, I'm literally 80 litres of water. So, and they're like, yeah, so we're trying to use more raw denim, because what raw denim does is you don't wash it as much to make it. It's straight off the rack. Pretty much you've detailed it in, and you can build your own authentic pair by over time wearing it instead of having to wash it, which is so interesting. Like, I would have never known that.
Do you know what? That's the literacy of information then, isn't it? So you acknowledge, as you're getting close up and personal to these different things, you're being witness to that, and it really makes sense, doesn't it?
Massive.
But that's where you can just start to gather all this information and then make better informed choices by hearing more detail.
Like, when it comes to like buying clothes, you buy cheap, you buy twice, and you buy twice, and then it's just pointless, because one, you're wasting your money, and two, you're not buying goods that can last for a long time. Like,
there's a false economy, isn't there? But I think it's because they're so desperate to have so many different things. And
look at kids nowadays. 16-year-olds are now dressing in Balenciaga shoes and the best items to date, whereas it's like
not most
fortune. No,
mate, you see, my kids like, you don't want them doing that though, mate. You see, if I walk around London, I'm like, mate, how old are you? 17? Like, your shoes cost 800 quid, mate.
I suppose you're going to see more diversity in that sense with living in the city. There's a pulse there. There's lots of those kids are, they are going to be abundant in material and lacking in emotional understanding.
Exactly, they won't be
so
happy.
That's the issue that we're talking about, mental health in every area. So basically, their parents or their chauffeurs or whoever are deciding on how they are allowed these expenses, because they certainly ain't earning it. They certainly aren't wise enough to know what to do with it. The thing is, it's like, why not go and get into Oxfam and support second-hand clothing sometimes? It's about using a bigger prescription across the board.
I'll tell you what, though, you've got to go to Oxfam, like Knightsbridge in London. That's where all the rich people chuck all their good clothes.
It would cost me way too much money to get there.
I'm telling you right now, mate, you've got to go there. If you pick the rich area, I know rich people live there. You go to their local store. I've done it loads of times.
Especially in January.
You walk in, man, I saw a pair of Louboutins in the window the other day, women's. I was like, mate, I could buy them. But I was thinking, if I was women, mate, I'm getting them for 150 quid, mate. And they looked in sick condition. I was like, mate, that's £1.5 grand pair of shoes.
They're actually saying now, like, things like thrift shopping are on the way up. Like, It's becoming
Huge,
way
isn't it?
bigger, and secondhand using is becoming more of a hot trend, which is
Yeah,
cool. And I think it's
I've
cool.
got
Like, it's
two
cool.
second-hand items and a pair of DMs that I've had for 5 years.
Yeah.
So that's it though. But DMs though, again though, DMs what they're £150 pair of shoes, but they're going to last you a long time.
Yeah.
How many people walk into a shop? Say I'm going to walk into Superdry today. I'm going to walk into Superdry. How many people are going to walk in there and go, I'm only going to buy sustainable clothes today?
What you just need to do is you just need to make it simple, because people are simple. It's almost like you just fold that in. It's like your mixture, it's your ingredients, and then your brand sits separate to the material that you're offering. You almost don't need to give a choice, where there'll be a time where we can't afford not to do these things.
Yeah, absolutely.
So don't rely on a load of us stupid idiots in making the right choices all the time. Just make it simple.
Yeah.
Well, a lot
it's
of
like
people are
skincare
thinking,
routine for men, isn't it? Like, well, you read all this packaging, it's like, well, what is it? What does it do? But really, all we want is just put it on your face at this time. It will do the job.
Yeah, keep it simple,
Keep it
man. I don't want to worry
yeah.
about all that crap. But I am interested in where they source the ingredients. I am interested, but only when I've got the time to be interested.
Yeah.
That's it.
There's such a lot to consume within consumerism. So if you're, in everything you do, so I think it's really difficult to sort of just know everything all of a sudden. And if anything, that's going to give you a proper well-being shift. You're going to just become so stressed out. So you just want to keep it, support people as they come through. And what you do is you identify with the brand that's doing that, so you then trust them. And that's where authenticity comes in. When I got in contact with you, I want to ask you why you wanted to come on this show, or why you were happy to come on this show, because you're busy boys, you've got a lot of time.
Yeah. Well, listen,
what made you come here?
I listened to a few of your previous podcasts. I think it was Tom Chapman, George Rains as well. I love learning from other people. I could have easily judged George Rains for going to Love Island and being he must just think he's a good-looking lad going on the show. But really, there was such a bigger picture towards him. And I thought you brought out the best in him. And I think it's the same as us as well. Like, your whole podcast is about well-being and just learning from other people. And I think if we can teach anyone today about ourselves or our jobs we do, our journey, then it hopefully can inspire someone, or it can give anyone, can take anything out of this podcast just to learn a little bit about us, or to help them benefit themselves on a daily basis. Then hopefully we've done that.
I like that. That's nice.
I say this to every single person I meet, and I think it's like, just don't care what people think and just get started someday, because you always think, I wish I started then, or I'll start in a month's time, and I'm just like, just get on with it now, just start. If you want to do something, get going, do it. Like,
Learn on the way.
You learn on the way. Like Henry and I, we quit our jobs. I think I had, we did it strategically, so we did break that down. But when we officially went in to really quitting, I think I had like £500 in my account. Less than that, £400. And I was like, hey, are you sure we want to do this, mate? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, right, because even though I broke it down, I went down to like 2 days a week or something like that. So I was still getting a bit of income in, and it's scary, man. And if it all fails, it's a learning lesson, right?
Do you know what's the worst that can happen, boys? You can take another job. They really liked what you were doing before, and that goes for anyone. You've got options, you've got choices. Don't funnel yourself into a place where you're constricted by your own fears.
That's it.
I would always say conversation is the cure, and the first and most primary conversation you've got to have is with yourself.
Yeah.
Say that, yeah.
A lot of it, we don't want to listen to what we're telling ourselves, because actually a lot of it is negative bile, which will
we're so easy to put
put
the negative
ourselves
switch on.
off, and the paranoia and the insecurities. We've got the ability to shape our own awareness of all of our emotions, and it's a rainbow. There's all sorts of emotions, so you've got to charge your positivity, and that will create more positivity. And it almost becomes like a volcano. And a volcano is almost like the heartbeat of the planet, isn't it? And that's your heartbeat.
I like it. I like that a lot.
Intensity.
Yeah,
We're all gathering around now. We're starting to whisper. So on that note, I have a curveball question. So I'd like to ask you, sex, drugs and rock and roll, boys. Pick a subject. Who wants to go first?
I'll start on sex.
Go on then.
What do you want to know?
This is Will.
Will you tell me, Will, what you want to tell me?
When I was younger, especially, I was at college, 16 to 18, I was actually a little bit shy. I wasn't that bad with the opposite sex or anything, but then I went to university, and that's when I really opened up, and I found talking to girls the easiest thing in the world. And I go on dates quite regularly, have a good time. I'd say I'm pretty good with the opposite sex now, which is great. When it comes to partying and drugs and stuff, whatever, I don't really touch much. I'm pretty good. But when it comes to partying and stuff, now I think I've done my time. I was at university, I partied so hard and went crazy, and I've done all that. I'm not a big drinker anymore. I think I speak for Henry on this as well. Like, we don't drink too much anymore. We kind of I enjoy the odd drink here and there, but I think I've realised when I go out and I get really wasted with some friends, it wipes me off for 4 to 5 days, and I think that 4 to 5 days is time wasted. And if I do that once a month, that's 50 days I wasted a year of just lying in bed or being unproductive. So I'm really going to come down like drinking this year. I'm doing dry Jan. I said to Henry, our birthday's in April. I don't want to drink up to April.
Temperance over these things is an amazing strength to have, and it's an opportunity to practice a little. That's a meditation. I'm going to do this. I'm going to assess myself. So cool. I love that.
But I could say for me, sex, drugs, rock and roll. I think drugs is quite an important one because I recently did some psychedelics, and psychedelics are obviously a plant-based medicine, but they are considered illegal, which I think's quite interesting because I think in about 10 years' time we'll listen to this back and they'll probably be made more open to the world.
Maybe even less.
It's like weed now, isn't it? Weed's legalised in so many states and places around the world.
I went on a ceremony weekend, and it was actually really interesting because my friend said, it's like literally taking yourself away from digital and everything. You just go into nature. And we do this whole like mushroom ceremony. So I have like a mushroom drink. And the whole point of it is like you listen to all these amazing music, scents and everything. And each song, each scent takes you through like a different journey when you're on these mushrooms. And it's like almost tapping into your subconscious mind and going to past traumas or seeing a little bit of the future, what you have, which offers certain things. And it just made me feel after I'd done it like so present with the body and so incredibly grateful for everything I have in the world right now and how amazing the world we have around us is. And I'm not trying to say go and get yourself some psychedelics straight away, but I think these things are definitely going to do it under
in the future.
From a holistic point of view and from a healing point of view and from the potential of reaching inside the mind and having an expansive viewpoint because you've taken some plant-based medicine. It can be used in ways of healing in the sense of depression, which is well documented now, or with young people with epilepsy, certain things.
Definitely.
But also, when comes the point when we get these greatest thinkers and seers of the right here and now to find the solutions that we need as a society, as a global society, why don't we give them a load of mushies? And
wasn't it Steve Jobs?
Take them to Mushroom Hill and
Steve Jobs and Mark Zuckerberg, I think they did some sort of mushroom trip or something. It can, when you're on that tipping point of wanting an idea to happen, apparently it just clears the path and makes you kind of see what it is. And they've both said they've had the most incredible journeys on it and they found what they wanted to take Facebook or take Apple in the future. But I think for me, I had no intention to see what would happen, but I think that's probably the best way as well, because if you go with intention and you don't end up getting what you wanted from it, then you leave disappointed. Whereas if you just kind of go, listen, I'm going to see what happens, and I saw some amazing no fear, and just kind of enjoy the experience, and I really did, and I ended up realizing like where my anxiety kind of comes from, and I get it a lot from my mum. She's quite an anxious person, she worries a lot, and I kind of was able to let it go. Yeah. And the month, and it was really powerful. The month afterwards, I was just a beacon of joy. I was fresh air. I was so like living in the moment, in the flow and everything. And it was just amazing. Obviously, like I said before, anxiety comes and goes for me personally, but it's just knowing how to control it a little bit better.
How to view it.
And that's what I definitely learned from that whole experience.
The biggest lesson here is that there is a lot of potential in human development. There's a lot of potential in your own life. The thing is, you're never going to find that potential if you don't go out and seek it yourself.
Yeah, of course.
Don't rely on someone to pipe feed you some biased-y.
Yeah, true.
Find it. Find your own truth.
Exactly the same when it comes to fitness. Like, one thing will work for someone, one thing won't work for the other. So one thing's not going to work for you, which might work for Henry or vice versa. I mean, you've always got to think, don't take it from one person. Try it, and if it works for you, amazing. If it doesn't, sweet, no worries, move on. Try something different.
Dudes, I've really enjoyed today.
Yeah,
you've been fantastic. You've been fantastic guests. You've explored your skill set. You've given us a little bit about your journey. I think there's lots of stuff that's going to be so useful for younger generations looking up, as they will look up to you with the followship and beyond. How do those people follow you?
Oh, well, you can find us both on like Instagram's probably our biggest platform, like at Henry J Wade and at William J Wade. We've also got at the Wade Twins, TikTok as well.
TikTok's our biggest following.
At the Wade Twins, and then on YouTube as well under our names as well. But yeah, that's it.
Cool. And we've got some fun things happening this year. We've got our own podcast launching very soon. Our clothing brand coming out this year as well. So it's good things.
Have we got any name of the podcast yet?
Well, not yet.
Not yet. No,
we've got a couple of ideas.
We've got some ideas in the head.
You're still fleshing out the details.
Yeah, that's it.
It's going to come really soon, but we've got like 2 or 3 ideas. We're like, what if this one, what if that one? But yeah, we'll make it work.
You've got a great following, and I apprate that you've come and given me the time of day.
Thanks for having us, man. I love speaking to good people like yourself. So.
Peace, love, power to your day.
My man.
Thank you, buddy. Take care.
Take care, guys. Thank you so much.
The Pod Barber is a That Media and Design production, with Mickey at the mic and Howie at the controls. If you've been affected by any of the topics in this show, you can find more helpful information on the episode's page at thepodbarber.com and search The Pod Barber on social and let's get connected.